All right. Welcome, everybody. Just waiting for everything to synchronize. All right. Welcome, everybody. All right, there's the other one. Cool. Any Ray Stevens fans? Sorry, bad audio there. Took me a little time to figure it out. I think it's synchronized now. Can you hear me? To see the shining sea, cannonball, 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 cannonball. Any Cannonball Run fans? All right. I got to be careful. I'll probably trigger a... It's a catchy song, though. You get it in your head like a Bee Gees song almost. Cinco de Mayo. Hola. Yeah, I know. It took me a little while to get this thing going, but it's... Hang on. If you got the soul, you can make it. Oh, now. Come see the shining sea. Cannonball. Anyways. I'm a total child of the 80s. I miss Burt Reynolds. His partnerships with Dom DeLuise, they were just hilarious. It never made any sense. The jokes didn't really make a lot of sense. They always seemed like things that were just their own inside jokes. And, you know, like they knew what they were laughing about, but nobody else really did. But because they found it so funny, you can't help but find it funny. That's kind of what Cannonball Run is. A couple movies that are like that, where it's pretty much nothing but inside jokes. And if you can tell me what they mean, great. Because the movie makes no linear sense. Neither one of them do. They're just bizarre. But all right, guys, that's not the topic tonight, but we can get into that one another time. I could do an entire 2 hours on Cannonball Run series, but, you know, you want to be talking about human earth brainwave ley lines and the Kaiser Soze fears opensecret.org. Paul Simon and the Simons are tonight's topic. So I'm going to try to get through these kind of quickly so I don't like meander excessively. Oh, excuse me. I apologize, everybody. I had to eat like really fast before I started this, and sometimes that translates to not the best manners. But thank you for your patience. All right. So human earth brainwaves. So I've been having some interesting conversations lately about these topics, and so I wanted to talk a little bit about how we affect the grid. And I know I talk about these things a lot, but I want this to be kind of more of a, because I'm learning this myself, right? I don't really like being in certain places. They kind of piss me off sometimes. There's certain areas and regions that just being there, I don't like it. Now, in the past, I think I would let it affect me more than I do now. I think now I can kind of adjust a little bit, but, you know, not so much before. I think that when I went to certain locations and I felt like I didn't like it, then that was it. As much as I need to know. And now it's like I'm figuring out this whole thing about what do you want to call it? Well, getting back to Uvarov's material, he talks about the mechanics of negative energy, and like how negative energy can be anchored to physical locations over time, and how that works. And I don't want to read his entire article over again here. I'll try to find a link to it if I can do it before the end of the stream. But I've talked about, and I've read his material before here online, where there's literally some areas out there, folks, that they're anchored with trauma. And what does that mean? They literally created energy locations that are binded using color spectrum, blood sacrifice, things of that nature, to specific regions. And over time, that energy does not dissipate. Energy continues. And so what they've learned is you can keep energy static and anchored to certain ideologies and keep them staying static there. This is the essence of ritual sacrifice. The point of it is to add power to something or someone or some place that normally would not have it derived directly to them. It's a hack into energetics where you just try to scare the living out of as many people as possible and get them involved in the culture of cheering on said types of activities. So one example would be like the Mayan pyramids. They're negative energy sources. These are not locations where, unless you are a person pretty adept at what you're doing, that you would really even want to go to these places if it's all about feeling good. If you're going there to feel good in a pyramid, that's probably the last place you want to go. Sorry to say this on Cinco de Mayo. No offense to all of my Mexicano compadres out there and everything like that. What I mean to say, though, is that these are negative energy locations. And so you have to be conscientious of that and understand their history before you visit them. That's all. These are not the types of pyramids that you go to, even based on their construction. You can tell this. They're stepped pyramids. They weren't built according to the proper principles. The very structure of them encourages negative energetics and would create problems. And so now it occurred to me that things like ziggurats may have this type of effect. Perhaps ziggurats weren't always designed to be good generators of energy. They may oftentimes have had more negative connotations or hacks into our perceived reality. Not all of them, but many. Maybe that was the point of some, was to be off harmonic to the three-sided, pyramidal structures that are more in perfection with the way we perceive reality and unpackage plasma, and it bends around us within the plasma field. So what do I mean by that? And let's talk more on that topic really quick, because I think that the link you're going to find between the medical industry and the nuclear industry is exactly what I'm talking about here. They seem like they would not be intertwined, yet we all know they are. We just don't think about it. Like, really? Nuclear and medical? Aren't these things antithesis of each other? No. The problem is that they're way too cozy with one another, and they have been for too long. Nuclear, in my estimation, while it obviously has its purpose when it comes to like X-raying a person's bones, there's things where in an emergency type situation, yeah, we can agree that, maybe it's worth the risk of a terahertz exposure to our skeletal structure temporarily to take that quick snapshot right through our body. But over time, yeah, we agree that tears down what we are physically, and that you wouldn't want to just stay under an X-ray or a gamma ray or something like that over time, because it would just keep taking snapshots of your body being off on your physical light body until it just dissipates. That's kind of why people get cancer and like their bones get brittle and things like that. And so it occurred to me that it seems like there is a little bit of a, I guess you could call it a Hegelian dialect, or if that's the right term, I think it is, to the problem reaction solution aspect relative to nuclear industry and nuclear medicine, slash and burn methods of curing diseases that were oftentimes caused by nuclear materials, emissions, or actual methods of delivering things, remote MEG, rather, I should say, remote magnetoencephalograph methods that I know exist. One ways of delivering the Parkinson's frequency to people, for example, and creating these sort of incurable diseases. And then you have to go into a hospital system where they put you on a dozen different pills that don't really help the condition and just make you get worse and worse over time. You know, I hate watching this happen to people, and it does over and over again. And they trust these systems and everything because it's all accepted. And, you know, that's fine, folks. It's not without merit. There's things that I think that hospitals are excellent for, and I think that they have their purpose. I disagree with the way some things go down. Obviously, I have a different way of looking at healing and life energy in general. So there's what works for me based on my belief system does not work for everyone. And not everyone out there would be capable of perceiving it the way that I would equally. So it's just, you know, what people go to for healing is a very individual thing. I would argue that healing, with what I understand and things involving disease and healing, do have a play, I would say at least 90% within the brain. That nearly everything is as a collective hive mind placebo. In fact, I would argue that a disease or an illness, as much as a cure, is a collective hive mind placebo as much as the earth itself. All of it's a collective hive mind placebo. But if you think about it, no. I mean, the earth isn't a placebo effect. It's the effect of all of our collective consciousness merged together into the spheres that we are individually. And then when they all form together, much like the circular grids, I should put that up here because that would probably benefit this discussion. But yeah, the more of our hemispheres, the more they merge as biofields, the more we actually structure, you know, you structure a village, you structure a city, you structure a town, you structure a county, and then a state or whatever, in a country, and then a continent, and then whatever, right? I mean, what begats what, as far as ideas relative to, physical reality. Hang on really quick here. I'm trying to look this up while I'm talking. So I admit that it's not always the easiest thing for me to do. Hang on here. There it is. All right. And so you see how that is, right? And then the more you form these like circular grids, the more that forms into the overall, like I would argue when you look at this 27 sphere 3x3x3 thing here with all the dimension to it, that's really what it translates to, what we do with our plasma fields. And that this, just as it expands out and there's billions and millions and billions or whatever of people and everything like that, all of our plasma fields are just merging and saying like, we are on this static earth and this is our static selves with on this static earth, but it is all energy and it is all eternal and it is something that never dies. It's just a constant flowing fountain of energy that won't go anywhere. It's really just a matter of you individually, where do you fall within this cyclical nature of this? Do you believe in death, or do you just believe in energy cycles? You know, if you believe in energy cycles as opposed to death, then you won't experience death like everybody else does. When your brain shuts off at that moment, you're going to have stored here within this part, you know, as it processes through the pineal gland. The beauty of it is that whatever energy exits from this physical body and everything, I mean, it's going to continue. So this is why there's kind of a game to keep people asleep when it comes to this exact concept of life and death relative to human energy and to earth energy. Okay. And so this is why I was like earlier, I was trying to explain about something about this exact concept. Like, why do certain groups want there to be regions where people just have to stay there and are miserable? Like, what do they achieve from that aside from just greed? Yeah, we get it, guys. There's all the surface level reasons. Like, okay, you know, if a bunch of people can't work and they take over other people's smaller businesses, we know all those dynamics are happening and they occur, right? But what does that translate to? What is that really getting to as far as energy and everything else goes? You know, it's really that this spiritual battle that we're in right now, it wants people to be static. It wants them to be still, like in a bad way, not relaxed. It wants you to be frozen. Relaxed is one thing. Stillness is one thing. Frozen is another, right? It's, you know, I personally appreciate stillness. I appreciate calmness. I like being someplace where I can relax a little bit and I can meditate. And that's very important to me to have an undisturbed, uncorrupted environment energetically through which to actually focus and meditate and do things. And, you know, we all know, yeah, we all know how that works though, right? And so, but having a place to focus and meditate is extremely important. And the reason why is because of how it impacts the overall grid. This right here is getting to a Professor Emoto's research where he can get, you know, a handful of school children to surround a glass of water and send gratitude to it. He just tells them, hey, you as uncynical minds, will you please send gratitude to that glass of water? And I bet if you do that, you can make it change. You can actually turn it from that ugly pattern from the tap water into that nice, you know, snowflake pattern over there just by sending it gratitude. You say that to most of their parents and they go, huh, whatever, you know, but then they saw the experiment happen and they saw these kids think about gratitude and it sent it to the glass of water and it turned that bleh of the Tokyo tap water into this perfect snowflake looking structure under the microscope or the oscilloscope, however they were, not oscilloscope, but they had it under some type of scope. And the point is that this generated they were able to, at this point though, you know, learn that thoughts and plasma, when sent to water, because it originates from the plasma content in your body binded to water, there's a way that it can travel to other water, you know, organisms or whatever you want to say, and your plasma platelets gather within that water. And that's, I think, is what we're achieving here relative to collective hive mind. That's what it's getting down to truly. What we're doing is we're structuring this reality together. And this is why I kind of make a constant plea to people to, you know, not succumb to fear. And that when you're in a location that is of a negative energy and you become adept at changing things, then understand that if you're feeling swarmed or you're feeling like overwhelmed, this is when you can really, you know, find your inner, I guess you could say, energetic ninja, you know, and learn how to like fight back a little bit spiritually. Fighting back really isn't even fighting. Fighting back really is learning to resist your fight flight mechanism that tells you to, you know, run away or to confront it. Sometimes the best thing for you to do is to understand that the point of said thing that drove you to feeling that way was to get you to react precisely in that manner and get stuck in a loop of negative energetics that stays anchored into whatever happened, right? Give you an example. Here I am talking about meditative environments. So what's going to happen, right? There's going to be something obnoxious that pulls up and goes and says like, ha, 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 we know what to do. Or maybe somebody will start yelling or shouting or something like that, right? We all know what that's about. Do we though? Well, what they're trying to do, guys, when it's deliberate, I'm just helping you understand, like at an occult level, when you're really dealing with occultists that do this, yeah, they are getting your plasma to focus on them. They're just trying to get your attention so that you pay attention to them. And then what happens? You're annoyed. The science-based process of annoyance, though, is that literally energy, slight amounts of energy from your annoyance is emitting from you. It's leaving your body and they're getting it. And over time, it wears down on you. It causes you health problems. It causes you physical ailments. It does all kinds of bad things. And so it's not a good thing to allow into your life. But once you've had, I think people who've experienced like a lot of this, who finally kind of like go, wow, I know what the game is now. You know, number one, it's learning how to like get yourself out of like those negative environments and into healthier places where you can actually do what I'm talking about. You know, focus and concentrate and learn the art of doing that in a good place. That's hard though. To find those environments. They really are. They're rare. It's one of the reasons why I like the coast so much, because it's kind of easier to find. Even if there's a lot of chaos in the area, when you go to the water, at least you know about 50% of you is not going to be surrounded by people and cars and cell towers and frequencies and all the other modern conveniences. You can go right there to the water line and say like, yeah, I'm right here. And there's nothing over there really except for a few boats, you know? Not for a very long ways. And there's some peace of mind, I think, that people get from that. There's something about that that you really can't get anywhere else but on a coastal line or a beach or something like that. You know, you're always conscious and aware there's something across the way if it's a lake, you know, or something like that. But there's something about the expanse of the beach and the way the waves kind of go back and forth, and it actually lowers your blood pressure. And I would argue that that's part of why things that you do on the coastal line, especially when it comes to thoughts become things, when you're trying to manifest something that's of a loving nature or more co-creative, or that's of the building blocks to life, where you're saying like, you know what, I don't want to stay anchored in their characters and their physical reality. I think I want to focus and concentrate on something that I want to build and make happen in this world. That's where you can really do a lot of good work. I mean, really at the beach, the elements are all meeting together in some perfect way. And you get land meeting with water, and there's two elements that are different, right? But there's this meeting point there right on the coastline where land meets water and air. All those elements just go right there like some perfect little trinity. And then your human machine, I would argue, is part of the fire. Your human machine and what goes on within your pineal gland, those little sparks that occur when electromagnetic signals and impact the pineal gland and brush up against all of those little piezoluminescent crystals that are inside your brain that create these color responses like you see in these spheres, structuring reality. And then how much do you structure relative to others, you see? And this is why I think there's people that are unconventional thinkers that are also rare blood groups, and that's part of their function here, is to keep a balance against collective hive mind dynamics, where somebody looks at another person and says, yeah, you're doing it this way, I guess I should do it this way, or you're not saying anything, I don't think I should say anything either, you know? And that's the problem with our society right now. We have way, way, way too much of that dynamic of, you know, well, should I or should you, or I don't know if that, and maybe, could I, can I, should I, you know, and then nobody's really doing their part. Nobody's really, you know, standing up and taking responsibility for the things that they should be doing. So, all right, but I was trying to talk more about ley lines, but that is, but let me try to keep it more in tune to like the ley line aspect of it. So everything I just said to you is super important, but now you have to start to integrate into things like, you know, what are you going to do? What are you going to do basically when your human energy is on something that you're conscious and aware is connected to an energy line? So for example, if I point out to a person, like I say to you, hey, I've noticed that you're on this 33-degree line from this location that you sent me, and it correlates to something else that you're interested in. Well, I'm telling you that those 33-degree alignments, especially when there's something that you yourself have a weird connection to, that is relevant. That is something that you likely manifested. That is something that just by thinking about it, it was a thoughts become things thing. And then for some strange reason, you're magnetically drawn to certain locations and you just wind up there. And it's a little bit like, well, why was I here? Or why did I go there? Or what was the purpose of this, of being in this place? Well, I mean, sometimes that's what it is. There's something that's going on outside of you that's more part of this grid that we're all existing in that involves the number 3. And the way we focus on trinities and triangles and pyramidal structures and pyramidal energetics, as far as like even these circles right here, when you really get down to it, when you stare down at that, depending on your perception of dimension, when you stare down on something like, where is it? There it is. Okay. I mean, think about staring down on that, and then you're looking at more of something that's closer to a pyramid as opposed to, you know. Sorry about the interruptions there. And so that's just kind of the basics of it, though. And so anytime you identify something, I mean, you know, you can call it a ley line, you can call it an energy line, you can call it a matrix line, whatever you want to call it, grid, matrix, energy. They all have their individual definitions, I guess, but I guess people can call it what the hell they want to. I don't think that a grid or an energy or a matrix line is any more relevant personally for myself, is any more relevant than the ones that I focus and concentrate on from my own world and my own perspective. There's ones that people tell me to, or say that's a ley line, or that's resting on this type of ley line. And I go, okay, that's interesting, you know, but I don't really follow that research as much as I do the ones that I personally find interesting. And those are these weird energy lines relative to the number 33. And I tend to disregard most of the common accepted things for whatever reason. All right. So that process, basically, when you get down to pyramidal structures, you'll notice a lot of times, folks, that sometimes you go to certain hilltops or mountaintops, and when you view them from the satellite footage looking down, you'll see the natural forming pyramidal structure, where it's, you know, it's kind of like from the very peak of it goes off into like a triangle or a pyramid and nearly forms a perfect pyramid in the mountain. And I would argue that those types of location, because there's porous things going on underneath, there's oftentimes caves and tunnels, all of these create energy underneath the mountain or underneath the artificial pyramidal structure, whichever it is. And that, when combined with human energy, re-radiates and amplifies the person's thoughts. And I think this is one of the reasons why, like, it's such a powerful thing for people to go hiking and get up to the top of a mountain or the top of a hill. Like, I've been to the top of Mount St. Helens. You know, that's like one example of a very tall place that not many people have had gone to or hiked up to. And I've stared right into the crater. And in fact, hell, I even have the photos of it, man. I'll even show you guys if you want to see. It was funny. I was just looking at them just like a second ago. I don't know if they're right here or not. No, actually, though, totally off topic. These are from the same set of photos, though. That's Los Lobos. If anybody's a Los Lobos fan. I sang some of their songs earlier, so I was thinking about them. This is them at the Wonder Ballroom in Portland. Anyways, I took those. I don't have my St. Helens photos in here, though, so I'll have to go find them. I had a stack of photos here, and I thought I had the St. Helens ones, but it's my Los Lobos. Okay. Anyways, when you do things like that, though, you're amplifying your energy signature, because underneath you is a stronger force of energy, and you as a human machine, you need to start looking at yourself this way. You're like a fountain of plasma, and that your plasma affects the collective consciousness. And it's just like anything. The higher up a communication tower is, the farther it sees. The higher up you get geographically, yeah, same thing. You'll be able to see farther within your thoughts, become things, and, you know, whatever, right? All right. So I wanted to have a conversation about Kaiser. I'm trying to. Hang on. There it is. All right. I thought this was kind of some interesting statistics, because, you know, we've been having a lot of shutdown things going on. And I think as long as it's worth talking about, guys, as long as we've got this COVID shutdown, like, who's getting money from who? So I don't mean to switch topics so quickly, but I'm kind of done with the other one. And I'm trying to get through each one in like about a half hour or less tonight. So Kaiser Permanente donates overwhelmingly to Democrats by a large margin. COVID-19, COVID. This is from opensecrets.org. And so I just kind of show a chart here again, guys. It's not like I'm trying to like pick on anything or anyone specifically. It's just looking for patterns as far as who wants to keep the shutdown going and who doesn't, and what might motivate them aside from health concerns. And, you know, when you look at this is the Kaiser Permanente's lobbying. All federal candidates that are making a lot of these decisions right now, you'll notice that Kaiser Permanente donates to Democrat candidates at the rate of 89.91% relative to Republicans at 10.09%. And you can see there's a near correlation in the way who opposes COVID lockdowns and who doesn't. The ones getting money from Kaiser Permanente just want this to keep on going indefinitely. The ones who don't get money from Kaiser Permanente are saying, let's open up the state and get our economy going. Kind of strange, but you know, guys, whatever. I mean, it's just looking for patterns, guys. I'm not saying one thing's legit or not. It's just the way it is. So I put Nancy is hopeful she can be here for the little people. So let's look this up really quick here. What Nancy Pelosi's OpenSecrets.org profile shows. Well, let's see here. Nancy, who's big into Kaiser Permanente, she gets a lot of lobbying money from them. She invested, in 2018, she invested $46 million in real estate. Boy, that's got to be tough, man. Tell you what. Gosh, you know, Nancy, those features, those facial features, the way they all just synchronize just so nice like that. Boy, do you ever look like you could be one of the bloodline families. I'm just saying. Anyways, that's a side topic, guys. Wow, look at that. She's a big fan of Apple. Visa. 1301. I'm sure that has good connotations to it. The Russell Ranch, okay. 945 batteries, so 945, 94 is 1313. Wow, man, she really likes those 13 ciphers. 25 Point Lobos. And I just talked about Los Lobos. How weird. Zinfandel Lane. Wow, look at that. Oh, these are her properties, I guess. She's a Zinfandel fan. She's a fan of Zinfandel. Del Lane, huh? Oh, wait, look. Z-I. Look, if you take the N fan out, if you take out the N fan, she lives at 11 Zidell Lane. Weird, right? What a coincidence. Wow, look at that, guys. She lives at... Anyways, I'll let you figure that out. Walt Disney, okay. So yeah, man, she's, you know, got a lot of money in media, tech, Facebook. You know, the ones that banned the last president from being seen and spent a lot of money to dope our election. That Facebook, yeah. Walt Disney, the ones that are behind a lot of our social engineering going on right now, selling this whole this thing that's going on in our country right now and keeping us shut down. Why? Well, because the longer you stay indoors, the more you're going to be watching what? Because there's nothing else to do. So you may as well just be a freaking couch potato and just sit on your ass and watch Walt Disney shit all day, right? Comcast, Borel, Amazon. Well, of course she's a fan of Jeff Bezos. The Bezos. Square, that's the money thing, taking Square payments. Man, everything to do with monetary payments. That's funny because I experience a lot of challenges when it comes to getting my payments processed properly. It's almost like I'm going through some kind of high-tech payment processing harassment of some sorts at sometimes. Like literally, like guys, they'll like reject the card that I know has money on it over and over again and act like they don't know what's happening. I'm like, no, I think you're making duplicate transactions and then pretending that it didn't go through, right? Met on the level, part on the square, as a certain society likes to say. Let's see here. Dropbox, Nautilus, Leasing, Citibank. Wow, dude, she's got a lot of, she's spreading her money pretty far here. All right, so she's got a lot spread out here, you know, whatever. I guess she took her money out of Mojo Networks, though, so don't worry. Took all the Mojo out. Let's see here. Liabilities, transactions. Let's see here. Oh, influence and lobby. That's what I was trying to find. Damn it. Where was it? Oh, there it is. Okay. No. What the hell, dude? I just saw it. It just like it showed up and disappeared. All right. Let's just look up Kaiser. We'll find her there. All I have to do is look. Oh, there she is. I'm sure she'll be here in the top of these ones. Hang on. See, all I had to do is go to Kaiser and I'll find her over there. No worries. Well, now you see here the same spread, guys. Kaiser Permanente, look at this. This is more recent data compared to the slides that I put on like several months ago. But you'll notice the spread is still 78% Democrats, 9% Republicans. All right, let's see who they're dishing out the most money to here. No, it was more than this. It's got to be more than this. I saw a whole nother number here where it showed that like some of these people were getting like 4 million. So they gave Kaiser Permanente mostly gave to Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, and DNC Services Corps because Donald Trump was running for president. They're gonna grease him, right? You know that's gonna happen. But look at this, man. Comparatively, they gave Donald Trump 331,000, but they made sure to give Biden 1,761,869, and Bernie Sanders got 372,278. So it really is. It just kind of shows you. And then the DNC got more as one organization than Trump did. And then after that, it's just lining Democrats. See this? Democrat, Ossoff. You got all the regulars here. Oh, there's the Republican. So after all these Democrats got lined, now you got the Republican National Committee gets 179,955. But Elizabeth Warren got more than the entire Republican National Committee. So, I mean, you can kind of see how lobbying impacts the way people are perceiving COVID. Am I right? I mean, you know, there does seem to be a correlation here. Hired firm, lobbyist, agencies. Okay, lobbyists. Kaiser Foundation Health Plan. Day Bruner. DB. Brew and Air. Decibel Brew. Decibel Brew and Air. I'll let y'all figure it out. Baker. McKinsey. Okay. All right. Agencies lobbied by Kaiser Permanente 2018. Wow, guys, look at this. How about that? Agencies lobbied by Kaiser Permanente 2018. Department of Defense, Department of Energy, Department of Energy, Department of Energy. Kaiser Permanente, a hospital chain, is lobbying the Department of Energy. Why? Anybody have a guess? Maybe because they know where the real government is. Maybe they know where all the decisions are actually being made in America. That if you don't grease those shadowy figures at the Department of Energy, then not much gets done. All right. Nancy Pelosi's top contributor list: Disney, Alphabet, Microsoft, Stanford, Kaiser Permanente, Facebook, AT&T, Berkshire Hathaway, Planned Parenthood. Who does Nancy Pelosi answer to? What does this list tell you about current events? Who runs who? And there they are, University of California, Walt Disney. By the way, that's because of research, medical research and things like that. That's why University of California. That's the bridge between the hospitals and, they do research. When it's not that, it's just tech innovations that are taken from the university into the larger tech corporations. Walt Disney Company, Alphabet Incorporated is Google, Microsoft Core, Stanford, Kaiser Permanente right there, man. Lots of Kaiser dollars, right? Facebook, AT&T, yeah. While we're on the topic of Kaiser Permanente, Nancy Pelosi and the Dems in general, let's talk about who might be benefiting financially from an extended COVID outbreak in the US. Looking at this chart, it appears to be Dems and Kaiser Permanente. So I already showed you guys most of these names. But you can see here actually on this one, yeah, this is actually this is a more conservative list here, guys. This was like from a while back. Biden had only got 472,000 on this list. The one I just showed you was 1,700,000. Kaiser Permanente's top 10 donor list of 2020. So yeah, the numbers haven't really changed, guys, since I reported on this in October. Who is calling for the global shutdown of our economies while the medical industry racks up fees for procedures that are of questionable value? Who promotes kicking the COVID-19 can down the road instead of backing up? Mostly Dems. Look at the list of DNC superstars. And literally, guys, I mean, this isn't me just trying to like pick on one party. I'm just telling you, like, don't you see who's promoting the narrative? And no matter what said, they're like, no, 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 put more masks on, do more things. That is kind of like, you guys, I mean, you know, at least have something behind it, man. I mean, look, I'm totally willing to talk about these things, but you know, when there's this much money going to certain parties and you're not backing it up with a lot of consistent science, then yeah, we've got to have some bigger conversations, especially when, you know, this is like where a lot of the spearheading of decisions globally are made, like how people handle these things globally. Like, well, what's the US doing? What's Europe doing? Maybe when it comes to COVID, there's a lot of self-destruction going on by gatekeepers that, you know, really do want to see us implode, guys. What all adds up to in 2020 during the peak of COVID, Kaiser Permanente and the Democrats are benefiting mutually, it seems, from the shutdown of our economy. They seem in no hurry to open things back up. You ever wonder why that might be? All right. Next topic, unless you guys have questions on that one. All right, folks. I don't like talking much about like the whole celebrity thing, really. I mean, yeah, I guess I do have the Hollywood thing as a topic frequently, but what I mean to say is that people need to kind of get hip to fakery going on right now, all across the board, and know its origins and know when to spot it, and know when they've like tricked all of you into believing that somebody's real that was a total fiction or a part fiction or might be a combination of a real person and avatar. Now, I don't really know, honestly, and I'm going to get into this topic now, what the deal was with Brittany Murphy for real. Okay, I don't know. But I want to talk about this right now because this to me is like it's a little bit like it's the obviousness of it should kind of make you raise an eyebrow and wonder what's going on with the whole Brittany Murphy narrative in general. She basically, before she died, was married to a guy named Simon Monjack. All right. So let's get Brittany Murphy's profile up here really quick before I start showing you things about Simon. Actually, you know what? I'm going to show you my Simon slide here just to show you why I had to call bullshit on everything finally. Sorry about my language there, folks. All right. So this allegedly was who Brittany Murphy, who was a pretty popular actress, I would say, that's allegedly who she dated, married the last year of her life. And so this whole thing with this guy always seemed a little bit bogus and a little bit manufactured and made up. It never seemed like there was anything that was all that sincere about it. And then his name is Simone Jack. I love this name. I'm just going to help you guys understand what this person really does for a living. SIM is like you put a SIM card inside your cell phone. Moan, because they make people feel pain. They psyop people, they fool them, and they cause pain. They make people moan. Name, because it's a fake name. They like to integrate ma for mother, like, you know. AR means automatic rife fool. Automatic rife is how they do this to your body. They arc you the electricity in your body. That's a psychotronic generator. And when they arc you, it makes you feel pain. Arc, moan. That's the whole thing with EWs. And it's like they tend you until you can't handle it anymore. Arc, moan. Nudge, jack. That's near field communication. 13.56 is nudge jack. They call it rub, bump, nudge jack. It's a way to steal money from people by sweeping your near field communication chip. They're on your credit cards and they're in your cell phone. They operate on 13.56 and they can aggressively steal from people by they can jack from you by hacking into that. Anyways, doesn't mean he was doing it, but I don't really believe any part of his story. I really don't. I think it's a lot of bullshit. I think it was a fake marriage, and I think he was a beard. March 9 is 3/9. Guys, anytime it's the Tule Lake family that came in 1945 around the same time as Operation Paperclip started, whenever they're doing deceptions that lead back to Merrill, Oregon is Highway 39. So they'll put 397, 793. I don't want to get into this one. Allegedly, he died because they can't have his character stay alive because, he's got to also, miraculously disappear after his character is retired, just like Brittany Murphy was. And anybody who believes like this guy was genuinely married to her, let's take a deeper look at his history and find out. This is why I want you guys to understand, guys. There's Hollywood, and there's Hollywood fictions that are in the films. Then there's the fictions that exist behind the making of the films, which is to say that Hollywood is the one, like, its own fiction for you to believe. Like, this person's dating that person. They're married to that person. Oh, I can't wait to see what the Kardashians are doing. Oh, this is so whatever. All of this is just as much made up as every movie you're seeing. It is. It's as much lucha libre, high five. Hey, Brittany Murphy, you don't exist. So, and another person is actually you. So let's have you get fake married and have a beard husband who doesn't exist. That's what happened. Now check this out, guys. This is not, I swear to you, this is what it blew my mind when I saw this. Talk about bowling balls. This is not a synchronicity or a coincidence. Right before Simon Moanjack, whose entire thing is about radio frequency, jacking, stealing, arcing, everything that they use, his name is literally like a whole lineup of the ciphers and cryptograms that these people that do EWs and sell, they both sell electronic weapons and they run illicit child, servers, things for drug trafficking, child trafficking. You have to have an information system that creates payments across from one person to another, especially when cryptocurrency is involved. And these were the scumbags that were doing it, if you ask me. It's an opinion. Because whenever they get caught, they just kill off the person that's like this, and they go, oh, they're dead now. And then this person was always a figurehead for a larger business. The payments within Hollywood, that if he ever got money in Hollywood, it was just a way to launder all the shit that was going on behind the scenes with good servers, BlackBerry Enterprise servers, which are called good. Now, this is where this all gets super sinister, not sinister, but just obvious to a person like me. They allege that old Simone Moanjack married before he got married to Brittany Murphy and was only with her for 5 years, I think they're saying. Yeah, 5 years he was with Simone Moanjack. She was born Simone Bien. So you're going to tell me this could only happen in a Hollywood fiction, that Simone married Simon, and that Simon and Simone, whose original name was Bien, And BN, even though it's spelled BIENNE, buy-in, they're buying things. What are they buying? They're buying goods. What kind of goods are they buying? Illicit goods on a good server that's a BlackBerry enterprise server. Hollywood character actors are oftentimes just figureheads and icons for selling these things. EWs, illicit servers for payments, drugs, all of it, guys. Not all of them, and not even, I'm not going to say most, but I'm just telling you a certain selection of them, yeah. And I've deconstructed the hell out of Brittany Murphy's story to the point where I'm going, nope, it was all a front. The only reason why is because I think I knew who she really was. And the person who she really was is still alive. Now she's playing different character actresses that are younger. She retired Brittany Murphy by killing her off, but now the same woman has a whole nother character that she kicked off and started playing a little girl and pretending to be her. Seriously. So after she stopped being Brittany Murphy, she took on the likeness of another actress using avatar technology. The woman, when she started doing this, was probably like in her early 30s, but she was playing a child actress on a controversial television series that had adult themes where she was kind of introducing children to like gay themes and things like that. She played a lesbian character. This is the kind of things they're doing, guys, but it's being done by an adult woman in the avatar of a girl. And then they'll do a script where they do really inappropriate things where she's like, she acts like she's like, goes to a Christian school and then she starts flirting with the girl that's like really cute, you know, to get her to teach her Bible lessons because she really wants to get with her. It's that kind of shit that they were doing with this, the woman who played Brittany Murphy. When she went in to be a child actress, that's what she was doing with her child actress likeness. Just see where I'm going with this, guys? They start to introduce our culture into cultural norms that are kind of like gross and destructive. Or look, guys, not that necessarily, but what I mean, it's a crass way, guys. If you're trying to gain acceptance for a kid to allow them to be their sexuality, then maybe don't do it like where you have this crass example of the girl's character going to like a Christian school and hitting on another little girl. It's creepy. And especially when you see that it's done in the context of the fact that I know that that woman that did that was not a little girl. She was an adult woman pretending to be a little girl and then using this series to like get people to like warm up to these themes. Guys, whatever. If whatever goes on in nature and actually exists, fine. But this is cultural engineering. That's all. It's crass cultural engineering from people that they're not trying to do it because they care about your kid getting acceptance. It's designed to defertilize. It's designed to like encourage more. Guys, accepting people for what they are, great. I agree. Engineering people to be that way, no. Putting more like shit into the plastics to make men grow breasts, no. Putting more things into like the food stuff to make men more womanly, no. Don't agree with that. Okay? Accepting somebody who makes a decision, totally cool. Can we all have just like, can we just have this be balanced without somebody saying something like I just said? You're not going to cancel my ass, by the way. Go ahead and try. I'm just telling you, like, it's not about that. All right? It really is that there's somebody that really wants to see men with no balls and women become more aggressive and more manly. And nothing wrong with aggression, by the way. I actually like aggressive ladies myself, but but you know, what I mean to say is like they want them to be almost like to swap roles more frequently or to just abandon their natural roles is all. And that's, guys, again, not everybody has to be conventional or do things the way it is. You know, I think Gina Carano's awesome. And the fact that she can kick people's ass doesn't intimidate me at all. I think that that's a cool thing of her character. But I wouldn't say that a woman has to kick people's ass to be a proper woman, nor would I ever say that if she happens to be capable of kicking ass, that she's not a complete woman. You see what I'm going, guys? Like, you can have all of those things. You can be a complete woman and be a total ass kicker. I think it's a cool quality, to be honest with you. I just, and then when I see it exemplified in films, especially where she's like protecting and defending, especially there's this movie called In the Blood where she's like trying to find her missing husband and that they're stealing his plasma from him. And like, it's almost like what I'm talking about, guys, with the psychotronic generators, except in the film, they literally put a spinal tap into her husband to steal his spinal fluid and give it to some cartel gangster so he can feel better. He's like, yeah, I need spinal fluid. That's why I kidnap tourists. And her husband's one of the tourists that get kidnapped. But there's this one scene in particular, like after she goes through a round of ass kicking and everything like that, one of her fights, once she got past that and how good she is at like doing like the physical stunt type things, the way she was going through all the hospitals and demanding to find her husband was so freaking natural. I could not, I was thinking to myself, she's doing this perfectly. She's getting everybody completely immersed in this scene. And it's really, really powerful. I know for me, like I was getting upset. I was even kind of like feeling her frustration, like, well, where the fuck's her husband? See, when somebody's that good, she's that good. So I'm sorry, I just had to take a break. Give her some credit, man. She's not just being like a cultural leader right now, saying some cool things, but she can act. She really can. And I haven't seen this Star Wars series because I'm just not interested in Star Wars, but In the Blood has a lot of clues in it, folks. So if you're looking for a Gina Carano movie that's maybe, if you're interested in like the recent social media things, you may want to look at In the Blood. I've reported on it long before all of this thing happened surrounding her getting canceled from Star Wars. I've been mentioning her work for a long time, way before this, relative to acting, not mixed martial arts. And it does kind of, it kind of warms me though that she's taken on the role that she has right now, because that's kind of what I would expected, that she'd have been like, hey man, this is some fake woke crap, and people have the right to think how they want to. Yeah, good. We need people like standing up and saying that and standing firm in it and being like, just let people be who they are, man. You don't have the right to just run around calling people reckless names and canceling the shit out of them because they disagree with you. And hopefully she's going on to greener pastures acting wise and doesn't have to worry about some series that immediately bows and kowtows to pressure that isn't even coming from the public. I really don't think that there was public demand to have that happen. It was a bunch of garbage. They're trying to engineer the public outrage and get us all to like go after the ones that are bold enough and brave enough and courageous enough to actually go, no, I don't think that's right. And it's not even something that should be bold and courageous. It's just become that way because so few people do it anymore. So hats off, Gina. Thank you. An excellent performance, I want to say, in the Blood, especially when she's trying to find her husband in those hospitals, man. Seriously, watch that. And you'll appreciate not only her fighting skills, but just how good of an actress she is. And you'll know what kind of range that she truly has. Anyways, guys, I'm sorry. It's like, because the fakery, man, there's sometimes it's done for good reasons. Sometimes it's done for bad reasons. And, I apologize, guys, if sometimes I point these things out that are sometimes done for like spycraft or because it's a defense project or something else like that. But when I saw this, I was like, no, I don't think that this was done for good reasons. I think this is a big bogus narrative. I don't think he ever married a woman named Simone. Simon married Simone, a woman with the same name as him by one letter. Sure, it happens, don't get me wrong. But when it happens, it's by design. It's to create record corruptions. It's to where there's like a mirror, so to where one person can do the activities of the other, and it's almost like being, how do I say it? If you know how these people really work, it's a money laundering vehicle where they get to be both genders. He's not married to anybody any more than she's married to him. But they can do the public appearances, they can cross their records and do all these record corruptions behind the scenes, which is what it was all designed to do. The fake relationship was to merge their things that they did together. Him selling BlackBerry Enterprise servers. My guess is Britney Spears is, not Spears, but Brittany Murphy. Sorry, Britney Spears. You're definitely not Brittany Murphy. I've been talking about the Britney Spears issues a lot too lately. So, but yeah. But yeah, guys, I don't know, man. I mean, for all I know, the Gina Carano thing's being manufactured, but I don't think so. I mean, and if it is, as long as look, here's the thing, guys. If things like that happen sometimes because they're just trying to encourage more people to stand up and fight back, and maybe there's a little bit of like whatever, great. To me, though, it seems pretty organic. I think she just decided to be that way, and then it just took off. It seems like it's in her personality, to be that way. So, but yeah, like this to me, though. And then, as soon as they know that this is all going to get done, they just kill off both Brittany Murphy and Simon Monjack die in like the same year. I mean, it was just a way to delete everything, guys. It really was. And I think what this was about was Simon Monjack probably was a figurehead character of information technology relative to HTCT transactions and the good servers, and that Brittany Murphy was probably handling more of like the acting portion of a drug economy. That's usually how it works, guys. Like their characters will be like an icon. If they're always like, I'm high all the time, or if Brittany Murphy plays a meth head in a movie, it's because there's a methamphetamine economy behind the film that's being made, and the film is just there as a advertisement for 90 minutes that makes you think that you're watching something that's a warning. It's almost like they've been doing this since Reefer Madness, you guys. Remember that? Oh yeah, it's a educational film. Or movies that are about like, morality, like Jane Doe decided to go to one of those parties where they were smoking the fancy cigarettes, and it made her make a bad decision, and she got a venereal disease. Those kind of things. You see what happens? You see what happens, Lebowski? But what that was about, though, was actually selling something, using the movie as like it's an educational thing. And then the people that were in the know knew if they went to the movie theater, they were going to be able to synchronize that movie event with an economy in the actual movie. So if the movie's about meth, say this was going on more back in the days where it was more common, then yeah, a person knew reliably if they were in the network, there was going to be at least one or two people that would be in the theater or near the theater relative to a code placed in the film where they can go now get methamphetamine. Like Spin. That's the reason why I'm mentioning meth, guys, is because Spun, S-P-U-N, starring Brittany Murphy, is probably one of the worst, and I've had it in my collection, guys, for this exact reason. Technically, it's a, how do I say it, guys? I mean, whoever did it, they know how to use a camera, but it's mostly they steal material from Darren Aronofsky. It feels like Spun is a movie about methamphetamine addicts, and it feels like it's a 90-minute commercial for meth. Honestly, it's kind of offensive in that way, because it doesn't really even achieve. It's not a meaningful character study of the people inside it, because at the end of it, you're supposed to like them and go, oh, isn't that sweet? It's all gonna work out. Or the main character like keeps his girlfriend handcuffed and like taped with her mouth taped inside his apartment for like days at a time, and then comes back. And this is all presented as a humorous thing, guys. They act like this is funny within the movie. He keeps coming back to the apartment. He goes, oh, I'm sorry, sweetie. And he puts the tape back on her mouth, and she's sitting there writhing around waiting to get back out. I'm like, this movie's fucking deranged. Who would make some shit like this? And at the end of it, you're supposed to go like, oh, Brittany Murphy's going to move on, I guess. She's not going to get spun all the time, or maybe she'll get off that shit. No, I mean, the whole movie was horrible, and what it promotes. But when I dug deeper into it, I'm going, and I was looking through the credits and I was going through all the production things. I'm going, I think I know where they even filmed some of this. I don't think it was all filmed in like the area they said it was. I think this movie is like a big cipher for where an actual methamphetamine economy is existing, and all the characters' names are really there to represent geographic locations and places where you go and pick up and things like that. And they just put it all into a 90-minute movie that acts a little bit like it's whatever. Jonas Akerlund made it. Yeah, yeah, fake Swedish director Joe Aker. I think we all know who Joe Network Access Transfer Akerland is, and he's not a Swedish guy in leather. Yes, to you he is, because that's the Hollywood behind Hollywood. But the guy who actually directed Spun is not him. He showed up. They pretended it was him, but Jonas Akerlund did not direct it. Somebody named Joe directed it, my guess would be. I'm not going to say much more beyond that for now. Put it that way. Because, I've learned about certain people. The Hollywood behind Hollywood is that, yeah, you look sometimes and think a director made it. You're like, oh, wow, they're a great director. No, that's not the person that made it, especially with foreign directors. They've really learned the art of this. The ones that are more in the mob, they've learned how to make films that give them influence, and they hide behind, they love doing this, guys. Some of these people are way darker than me, and they pretend to be British. They love pretending to be white British people. Oh, how are you there? I'm going to be sitting here using my my face masking technology, and I'm going to be talking to you here. And they'll literally have it all output like that, but with a British white face when they don't even look like that in reality. And like the woman that I think is Brittany Murphy, where I'm about 90% sure, all you'd have to do, and I could show somebody individually, you line her face up with Brittany Murphy, and you see the way Brittany Murphy would kind of go. And I have one where they're like, the person that I know is her face is exactly like it going. I mean, same curvature, same rings, everything. All you would do is take the real person and remove like 100 pounds, and you would have Brittany Murphy. I'm not trying to say that to be mean. I'm just telling you that that was the reality. The real woman who was Brittany Murphy was just really, really overweight. And so one of the things that they did was they just kind of shrunk her down into the avatar. They even like kind of faked that she was being like anorexic for a while, which is weird. But she was always, on the larger side. I mean, not trying to be insulting or anything else like that. It's just the reality, guys. She was probably closer to Simon Monjack than she was the Brittany Murphy that you saw. Just being real. Now, the guy that I think is Simon Monjack, yeah, he's about that same size. He's uglier. Yeah, he's not a very cool person. Not a nice guy. And definitely not in England. But see, again, of course she married a British guy. Of course she did. No, she didn't. Think about that, guys. Brittany Murphy, do you remember her personality? Hi, I just made this movie. It's like fun. Aren't I just fun? She always had that, I'm just kind of spacey. Do you really think that she kind of like went and found some like high society British guy to go marry? Like, it's just like so amazing. He's like, yes, I always dreamed of leaving British high society and hanging out in Hollywood with a vapid Hollywood actress like Brittany Murphy. Sure, guys, whatever. Not trying to be mean or anything like that, guys. It's just that they work our heartstrings over and they get us to feel bad for some people or whatever. And it's like, it was never real to begin with. It's the Hollywood behind Hollywood. And it's interspersed with reality. And that's our problem, guys. There's some people out there that genuinely are actors. You could meet them in person in real life, and they keep the secret with the ones that are avatars. So people that made movies with Brittany Murphy, they're not going to tell the secret about Brittany Murphy. You see where I'm going with this? And they're going to think a person like me, it's like going, they're like, dude, you can't talk about this system. This goes all the way back since like Masons practically. This goes back hundreds of years before there was even technology that made it work. You just did it a different way. Costumes, prosthetics, relatives that look alike, whatever. But, it's an old system of pretending to be other people. Yeah, I agree, Lisa. I don't think it was even real. I don't ever think it was real. I think it was all just manufactured fictions for us. And then, when you think about that, folks, then I would just say like, get more adjusted to the idea that translates to a lot of things in our daily reality now. And that it really is kind of important that we start to tune more of this out. That the more you see the ciphers, the more you see like that they're really clearly not real people. I'm just going to take that off the screen. But why waste our energy on it? Why waste our time? Why invest our emotions into people that are really just messing with us? They're really just, yeah, I mean, guys, it's fun to watch films and things like that. It's a great experience and everything. But like, why do we allow ourselves to get swept up in the drama outside of what they do within the acting thing? Because that's the second Hollywood. It's the Hollywood behind Hollywood, and that's a whole nother fiction. And it's going to be difficult for us to get into a better reality that we want to manifest if we just keep, circling back to these same characters and saying like, well, what do they think? Or are they confirming or affirming that what we're saying? Or are they approving of us? I mean, why do we care what MSM thinks? Why do we say that, well, I saw it on NBC, so the mainstream media is talking about it? You know something? I just, anymore, it used to be like, if you could get them to talk about it, they've been, quote, forced to do it. Like, oh, we pushed the narrative enough, now the MSM is going to talk about it. It's never really the way it works. It kind of seems that way. It's just simply that they know that they have a louder platform. They can reach a larger audience. So all they have to do is second that they know that the story's been leaked, they just have to create a competing story with nearly identical details that just spins it off into another direction. Nexium is an example of that. I mean, it might have been a real cult, guys. I don't know. I wasn't there to tell you. And I'm sure it had elements of reality, and there was an office that said Nexium that existed for a long time. That part I'm not questioning. I'm telling you that like the Nexium cult was actually a much bigger, broader story that goes, I mean, so far beyond one simple mind control cult in Hollywood. And it's not even a cult. It's a technology. It's a technology that makes it easy to make cults. That's what the NVIDIA story covered up. I was about ready to, in fact, guys, someday I'm just going to do it, but I can't yet because I have to literally just say who it is. And that basically is like reporting it to the cops. All I'm going to tell you is you just got to look into Mark Agnifilo, the lawyers that are close to it, Mark Rayner, all of that, and start looking at me and start looking at photos of me. Not because I'm doing it. I'm just telling you, because you're going to notice that old Mark Agnifilo looks like he could be a relative. And so I don't do those things, guys, but I've also told you that there's people who look a lot like me who are inclined to do things like that, which is why I'm being straight up with you and telling you that I'm suspect of everything to do with that he covers relative to sex crime cases like Mark Rayner, like Weinstein, who him and his wife have both helped out. Weinstein, Epstein. Guys, he's close to all of these things. And he looks like he could be a relative I've never met. Interesting. Is it possible that Mark Agnifilo is not unlike Brittany Murphy was to the person that I'm telling you about? In fact, if my research is correct, the person that I'm telling you about that would be connected to Mark Agnifilo would be pretty much related to who pretended to be Britney Spears. Does that bring it into context for you? He's her dad. The guy that looks like Mark Agnifilo would be the father of the person who looks like Brittany Murphy. So if he pretends or has a avatar that's a lawyer for elite sex offenders, and she was using the same technology to pretend to be Brittany Murphy, maybe you can trust that what I'm telling you here is a thing. Because they're connected. And that's kind of why I'm telling you this. And to anybody who wants to spend more time with me individually, I will show you how it all lines up photo-wise. I'll show you my face next to this other person's face that looks like Brittany Murphy, and I'll show you Mark Agnifilo, and then I'll show you the person that I'm related to that looks like him and the other person. And you'll go, trust me. Anybody I've shown it to, that's exactly what they go, whoa, dude. I go, tell me about it. What would you do if you were me? And I've had these slides developed for years. And that's pretty much what I get from nearly everybody. It's just like, well, what do you do? I go, I know. What do I do? I have to be careful here. But all I'm going to say is that once you get past that, then those two people specifically are this close to the Department of Justice. This close. Specific to things involving computer hacking and intellectual property. Yes, Lisa, in America, the actors, yeah, in Europe, it's the royals. Yeah, you got it. The actors are like kind of doing that here. I mean, it's weird. They've got a whole mirror of themselves over there in England where I don't think that they're actually authentically there most of the time. And it's too common, guys. A lot of these people pretend to have these alternate lives over in England. And are they really there? I really don't know. I mean, do they ever spend time there? That part I couldn't tell you. Yeah. I haven't seen Weinstein's wife, but I mean, yeah. I mean, I think a lot of these people that are movie producers and everything, I mean, their spouses are just beards. They're business partners. They're not really together. It's just that they're working together on something and creating a narrative. I mean, I just don't think it really works that way. But I've done a lot of research on this. It's just, and it's got too close to me. It got way, way, way too close, up close and personal to where I was like, wow, you know, yeah. It's one of the reasons why I'm kind of like over the Hollywood thing for the most part now. I just I'm doing it now more because I want to know about the timeline things. I can tell there was definitely some timeline things going on relative to certain producers in Hollywood. It's one of the reasons why I start off with Cannonball Run theme song when I started up the feed or whatever, kind of playing in the background. It's just like, it's that's a classic example of something where you'd have to be here and witness it to understand exactly how it's synchronizing. That's why I'm kind of like, I don't know. Anybody who's been in an environment with me understands the synchronicity things that go on with me, because when they start witnessing them, they're going like, how is that even happening? I go, I promise you, I'm not doing it. I'm not like going out of my way to make that magnetically draw to me or that data set synchronize. It's just happening, But here's what I will say. I have very, very strong confidence that this is all going to work out and that we're on our way to a really good path. I honestly believe that. I genuinely think that as ugly as things look right now, that people are actually waking up in a real way and they're actually pushing back. And I think that our society is upgrading their courage exponentially as this event is starting to reach an apex. People are catching on. They're figuring it out. And I think when you try to pull a ruse like this on the collective consciousness, on the collective hive mind, on the global, population, you can get away with some things sometimes. But I think this is one of those cases of, you can fool some of them some of the time, but you can't fool all of them all the time. And this is one where they really had to fool all of them all the time. And they had to get a select group in particular to make it really bind. And it's not binding. It's not staying static, And I think that's a big concern for them. Just trying to think of another thing I could show you here that would help fill this out a little bit better. Yeah. You know what might help, guys, is just to show you. I'm going to give you a quick review of the one where I'm going to tell you what straight up that I think that this is the same guy I think is behind Nadir Israel of this article. I think is behind Simon Monjak. Just to be straight up with you, that's my personal opinion, but it's also based on things that I experienced in my actual life. Okay. And so this article I'm going to show you will show you how a guy that looks nothing like Simon Monjak could have a convincing public persona as him, even having an actor that looks mostly like that guy that would make public appearances for him briefly when needed. Sorry for those of you who've seen this before, but I'm going to play this one here about RT America, mostly because I want you to see how the face masking technology works, okay? And I'll probably close up with this one tonight.
All right, so we've been talking about some of the media manipulation going on.
One way that is
kind of going on with RT America, which, for those unfamiliar, there's been kind of a narrative spun about how Russia is trying to subvert politics in the United States, which I don't personally believe to be the truth. I think what's going on here is that we have organizations that can really manipulate all the different perceptions from a distance, and while pretending to sort of blend in with all different groups. In 10 seconds by Nadir Israel with this company called Armis Security.
All right. I'm not going to play the entire article. I just wanted to sort of do highlights here to show you what I'm talking about. Because I've actually have more insights into this since I wrote this article, and I'm not quite as polite as I used to be. I don't know who made this up. I don't think it was a creation of RT. I think it was that RT thought they were talking to a guy that was a technical expert, and they sold it to him as that, and he's not. This is just some guy that uses face masking technology to look like Nadir Israel. Nadir Israel actually looks like, let's see here. Right there. Hang on.
So I was able to.
All right. Now, I want you to compare that photo there against what you're seeing animated in the video if you're ever curious to see an obvious example of somebody that's faked something. This guy does not exist. But guess what? If you were going to go buy a product from their company or invest in their organization, would you not believe this? Wouldn't you believe that Nadir Israel was the co-founder and CTO at Armis Security? What reason would you have to question this history? Then it says, as co-founder and CTO, Nadir Israel guides the technology vision behind Armis unmanaged and IoT devices. He co-founded the company with his partner, Yevgeny Dibrov. Die, bro. No, guys, this is a code. Death is die. Bro, he's a brother. Die, brother, off. He's from the Death Brotherhood. Prior to Armis, worked at Google as senior software engineer. And before that, he spent 6 years in the Israeli army, specifically in Unit 8200. 8 equals H and 2 equals B. You know something, guys? That's classic Nazi. HB. You know what that means? Heb. That's what Nazis call Jews. They call them Hebes for Hebrew. I apologize to my Jewish friends. I'm not trying to use the term in that way. But yeah, that's an ethnic slur that's used. And so what they like to do is go, Hebrew. See, so sorry to my Jewish friends. I'm not saying that to be abusive or anything like that. But that's what these guys do. Okay? And then he'll have the balls to say that he's from Israel when he's really from the Love family cult who changes their last name to Israel. And they're not from there any more than they're from England or any other foreign country. They don't really have companies like this. They're all just big, fat, freaking money laundering vehicles, half these things that they make up. They don't really exist hardly, and they don't do a whole lot. Just being real. Because this particular faker straight up disappeared for like 7 hours, went in front of a green screen, and then all these people, guys, this woman right here, no, she's about, I don't know, same age as me. Doesn't have blonde hair, but she has that stupid look on her face. She's a freaking goof. This guy is, I think, like a cousin or a brother of this guy, but he's not an older guy. He's about the same age as him. When you put him in the face masking software, he looks mostly like this. This guy actually had the balls to get next to me at a Sprint store in August about 3 or 4 years ago after I discovered that he was a fake too. And he literally used the voice that he does in all of his Armis Security professional materials. Oh, yes, I'm the Bribrov. He had this thing where he talked like this. And he got next to me and he started talking like that. Exactly like that. He started talking with the same accent. So I knew it was him. To the letter, it was his voice. He did that to troll me. Also probably to clone my SIM because I was at a Sprint store trying to get my phone fixed, and it probably was dead because of certain hackers that were in the building pretending that they're Israeli when they're actually in Tigard, Oregon, right next to me. Just saying. And this is the kind of cheekiness when they fake their records, guys. Armis in Acton, because they're pro actors. And it's a money laundering vehicle, in my opinion. Agua dulce. Agua is water. dull. They dull you with water frequency. That's a psychotronic generator, agua dulce. Dulce base, a lot of people know about that. New Mexico underground facility. Then you'll notice these kind of like cheeky things they do by pretending to be in Tel Aviv when they're not. They use ham frequencies. So they target people with ham radio, RF, Ahad, Ham, Hamas. Yeah, he says he's Jewish, but his address spells Hamas. Sure, guys. No, it means ham, mass, sit. He sits on his ass and he aims ham radio frequencies at your body and creates black masses. He's a big fat pedophile. I've seen him face to face. He sits on his ass all day. And look, they say his company was formed October 13th, 2017. Isn't that sweet? 1013-113. Oh man, you just got to love these fakers.
The states maybe actually being interceded by groups that have.
I mean, I could play this whole article for you, but here's the thing. I could show you over and over again how many companies are structured exactly like this in Visipedia that really don't exist in nature. And this guy I've actually seen face to face to know this is all bogus. His entire company, top down, is bogus. He was bragging about it. He was fucking with me like, huh, no one's ever going to believe you. Yeah, they will. They'll believe me. Don't even try it, motherfuckers. Sorry to be cursing, guys, but I've been through too much of these people, and they're brutal. And I've seen this guy's face up close. Not a pretty sight. See that right there? Notice how little that looks like the photo you saw at Armis Security, but that's allegedly the same guy. That's because the guy that plays this has a really long face like this. His teeth are all like crooked, and his eye goes like this, and his nostrils go like this. So when you try to put a face that looks like that into that cute little Armis Security Nadir Israel face with his nice little round cheekbones, and he's got a nice, really round face, and you put a guy that's got a face that looks like this into it, it all falls apart inside the avatar. Not trying to be mean, except this person I can't stand, so I don't really mind it. So I'm just kind of giving you guys an idea how this works. Like, there's lots of companies like this, and this is how they fake having a CTO, a CEO. So everything I just showed you right here with this article, you can translate this to many different things. You can translate it to Hollywood. You can translate it to financial organizations. Oh, and let's all just bring it in full circle. Now translated to a certain illness right now where 50,000 people will die in a month, but you'll never see a single hearse pass by your town. Do you suppose they're killing off all the Nadir Israels out there that are played by one guy that has 10 different names and 10 fake companies? And now since they're caught globally, they've got a way to delete all of this? What do you think, everybody? How would you delete all of these types of companies like this when they get caught, knowing that you really can't put a real person in every single case? This is the way they're doing it. They're using CGI going, he's real, guys. He's real. Nadir is real. Nadir is real. Then they'll blame it on who is real. They'll blame it on the Jews. This guy is as Nazi as they get. Sorry, he is. He's an American Nazi. But guess what? This is designed to get you to blame the Jews. I've seen the man. He wears Nazi runic symbols. He is a Nazi, truly. I'm not saying that just to be controversial. I'm letting you guys know this is their cover. And a lot of them will pretend to be liberal. So just, guys, get over let's all of us who's been like, no, guys, it's my favorite movie. They wouldn't do that. Get over it. Yes, they would. Some of them would, but they're not all bad, and don't get cynical either, guys. It's not all tragic. Some people did everything he did for good reasons. Some people did everything he did to help America. So my challenge, honestly, has been deciding, like, I can identify all the fakery. So I get frustrated as hell because I'm going, when is it the fakery that is for the good reason, where somebody's just trying to give themselves a nice, good, cover? Or when is it more for when, they're, how do I say it? Doing some illicit economy and then hiding behind the same techniques. And then imagine it. If you were in defense or in intelligence circles and this was your way of getting cover for you, a person like me might piss you off because I'm like showing it how it works for everybody. I don't know what to say to those people, guys. I've just had it with all the fakery, and I don't know what to do. I was really trying to preserve the people that I think are doing it for good reasons. And if I see somebody doing it, I don't call it out right away if I know who they are. Just so you know, I'm not that reckless. Now, if I know that they're doing something shady, then yeah, I'm going to say, yeah, sorry, guys. I'm pretty sure I know who that is, and that's effed up. In other cases, I wait, and I go, and I try to think, you know, intuitively, was that a person that I trusted? Were they... And then sometimes I still don't have an answer. I don't know what the right thing to do is. So instead of doing it publicly like here, I might do it in a more limited area or whatever, but I can't always keep it in, guys. And I'm not really trying to be a jerk. I'm not trying to blow everybody's cover or anything like that, honestly. I don't like being that guy, you know? I'm not like, yeah, I can't wait to narc everybody out. He's being a fake. You're just a big phony. Well, when it's that kind of guy, yeah, I can't wait to like narc his ass out because I want him to be exposed. I want his method to be exposed. That guy, if I'm accurate, I'm saying if. He's the same guy that faked being Simon Monjack. To understand how bold they are, yeah, I'm Nadir Israel of our miss. And he's kind of femmy. Our miss. You understand, guys, that he's referencing the Arman order of Nazi. That's like a pre-Nazi occult society. He's an Armanist. So Arman order, Armis. He's doing things to make himself more feminine. So instead of it being Arman, he's a Armis. And he's doing information systems. So instead of AN, he calls that the Anne Frank network. You know, because they pretend being Jewish, so Ann. They swap A-N with I-S, so our man, our miss. It's just little things like that that you just start to pick up on. You're like, wow, they do this. They really do this. Yeah, they do. And it's almost like I just want somebody to be like, can we just get a computer to go out and find all of these ciphers that I'm showing you, and then like we'll just stick together as people. We'll just like give it a human review. Let's have a computer just like sweep for all this fakery at an algorithmic level. And then all of us real people who know what the game is, we'll do the human decryption of it. And then, you know, put us to work, guys. Give us a nice round table and we'll do this. Because I can train nearly anybody, I promise you, as long as they're a strong symbolic thinker. And I know people like this. They just want a place in the world. They don't think linear. It's very challenging. I don't think linear either, guys. I'm telling you, I have had to struggle my whole life to fit my way of speaking and communicating into a linear box. I'm not a linear personality. I don't think in normal ways. And when I'm forced to structure reports and things like that in corporations, I struggled. I did, but I could do it. I could do it. But the reason why they didn't mind all of that was because of all the creativity that I brought. I was willing to like ask things that a person with a more standard education would feel weird to ask, or they would be like, well, I'm not comfortable, or I'm an engineer, I should know that. And I was always like, well, I'm kind of dumb, I'll ask that. Or, well, what if this will work? You know? And I didn't think I was dumb. It's just that like, I didn't understand it in a linear way. I always understood it more abstract. So, you know, guys, just kind of open yourselves up to the abstract thinkers, and you know, it may pay to be one yourself. You know, start looking for those middle letters in the names, like Charlie Savage. When he writes an article, remember, the middle of his name is L-I-E-S. Charlie Savage. Lies. Charlie Savage. That's one Mockingbird journalist who was trying to make up a story to get us at war with Russia, trying to tell us that the Taliban was getting paid by the Russians to attack Americans. I mean, are you serious, guys? You're going to make your middle name Lies? Charlie Savage? Come on, man. We need to end this, okay? So we start by being a more aware population. Just disregard it, guys. That's what we're going to do. So thank you for joining, everybody. I'm going to cut it off a little bit short tonight. I hope you don't mind. And I will be back tomorrow with more. And thank you very much for joining. Have a good night.